The Full Circle Podcast. Compelling interviews and incredible tales from Colorado's western slope, from the mountains to the desert. Christy Reese and her team hear from the movers, shakers, and characters of the Grand Valley and surrounding mountain towns that make the western slope the place we all love. You'll learn, you'll laugh, you'll love with The Full Circle. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to The Full Circle Podcast. I'm your host, Christy Reese, and I'm really honored today to welcome my friend and someone that I'm just in such admiration of in our industry, and that is James Pulsipher, owner of Fidelity Mortgage here in Grand Junction. Welcome, James.
Thanks, Christy.
Yeah. So, where do we start? Let's start with, how did you get into mortgage lending?
You know, I think everyone got into real estate a little by accident. So same is true with me. Ultimately, my family was in the industry. And as I started college, it's what I knew how to do and decided that I liked it better than what I was educating to do and stuck with it.
Which was what? What were you studying?
I was actually a political science major going to law school. So underwriting loans during that time and decided that, again, the mortgage industry had as much or more potential. And it was something I was good at and enjoyed. So I'm stuck with it since.
Did you find it challenging enough compared to what you perceive the law to be?
Yeah. You know, I think one of the best challenges about our industry is that it's as different as the people you deal with. So, you know, even 29 years later, I'm still, and most days going, wow, I've never heard that one before.
Right? It's people and properties.
Yeah.
And so you get new stuff all the time.
Yeah, and it's a learning experience, but also keeps it from being boring. Certainly not any monotony in what we do.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of
just the people, honestly? It's wonderful to just affect the lives of other people in a positive way. And, people that we help, are overall just super grateful for what we do. And that's heartwarming for sure.
Yeah. Things have changed a lot in lending and in real estate with the advent of technology and all kinds of stuff. How have things changed for you in your company and in the way you do business with the technology that has improved?
Yeah, absolutely. There's always been a lot of change in the industry, since the start, but certainly regulation and technology have been pretty pivotal in, moving what we do. The good news is technology advanced as fast as the regulation or faster. So the tech kind of helps us automate some of the regulatory burden and get through that. And certainly not just with development of tech, but also when the pandemic started, we really had to adapt and do things differently. And, we've always had the ability to do, business a little more digitally and fluidly, but that necessity sort of brought that to the front of mind for everybody.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like, we can do this all digitally.
And people embraced it differently because they were less afraid of the technology than they were of COVID. And so we really got a lot of people engaged and understanding the ease of technology. And, one of the things that I like to say is that we give people sort of both mediums. The tech is there. Everyone likes to engage the technology, but no one likes to only engage technology, right? There needs to be some personality and some process engaged with that as well. And so, we like to use both to make it convenient but still personal.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you have such a reputation for making it personal. It's amazing. I mean, I think anybody that works with you, whether it's a client or an agent, we're like, how does James always return all of his phone calls? We know how busy you are, but you get back to people, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and it's important because are we busy? Yes. Is that an excuse? No, because no one's transaction matters more than your own. So it needs to be personal. We need to be available.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about Fidelity Mortgage and what your structure is and how many loan officers you have and what's going on these days.
Yeah, so we've been in Grand Junction since 1986, so definitely have grown up with the community. It was definitely a little bit of a crazy bet to start any business in Grand Junction in 1986 for everyone that knows what was going on back then. And so it's been nice to really have grown with the community, both as far as the real estate industry, our community involvement, and then, just the people that not only that we serve, but that have become a part of our company. And so, we've grown over the years. We have combined forces on a corporate structure with some other partners over the years that have really helped us, advance and change our ability, to really be a full service mortgage bank and truly give local execution on a larger level, for a lot of times you either chose, local or the capacity and ability to do things. And, we kind of really marry both, knowing that we want to be local, but we also, need to have that full suite of services to be able to offer people. And that's been really great. So it's been a wild ride, but it's been fun. Yeah.
And you're building downtown. A lot of people know the Fidelity Mortgage building. What year was that constructed?
I think we finished construction, moved in late 2007. So, which is weird to think back that it's been that long, but it has. Yeah.
15 years.
Yeah.
16 years. And you have other tenants in the building.
Yeah.
But you have, because we don't see you that much anymore.
Yeah.
When we used to come into your office with clients, and because things have gone so digital, it's rare that we see each other. It's sometimes not even at the closing table anymore.
Right.
What is your office setup like, and how do you have people coming into the office, or do people mostly work from home these days?
We do. When we were fully in office prior to the pandemic, and that was always really important. And it changed the consumer experience, but also changed, our ability and perception on how we needed to work together as a team. So we give our base of staff really the option. And there are some things that, we have to, by virtue, do in person, but otherwise it really gives people the choice to choose how they work best. Mm-hmm. That's been nice to accommodate, especially with school schedules and shifting dynamic and even weather as we sit here on a snowy day. So we really, it's probably about a third of staff that's in the office on a day-to-day. Some people are there daily, some are there almost never, and then some kind of, pick and choose their schedule. So it's been a nice sort of shift of work environment. And the mobility of tech has really helped that too. We've been, paperless, loosely saying that for a long time, but we really are paperless now. And so the ability for us to, grab our computer and go and be fully capable at any location is more real today than it's ever been. And so it's nice to have the option for both.
And people used to come into the office to fill out applications, and everything's online now. Do people still go in and fill out an application now?
Yeah, and again, that's the beauty of being local. Sometimes that's people's comfort level, and we're certainly happy to do that. For most people, though, it's faster and more simple, to do the online, and then it's more of a follow-up meeting or discussion, to really see both. But again, the nice part about being here is, if that's your preference, then we can certainly accommodate that the same way.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is sets you apart from your competitors, or just, from a customer service standpoint? I think you have such a good reputation. And what's important to you to have happen in a lending transaction?
Yeah, I think it all starts with knowledge. Experience is certainly a part of that, but there's, a lot of people that get into our industry that really don't have the requisite knowledge to do it. And a lot of the horror stories you hear, people getting told they can have a loan that can't. And some of the misinformation that's out there really just comes from lack of knowledge with the people they're dealing with. And so we take a lot of pride in our entire base of staff really knowing what they're doing. And, this from us working together for forever, we don't tell somebody to go buy a house if they can't actually complete that transaction. And so, our reputation stems from that. We mean what we say, and we say what we do. So
yeah,
it works.
We have, I think, experienced that just in the last week with one of our agents saying, so-and-so national lender told them they could qualify, or vice versa, telling them they can't qualify. And then we check with you on, you're like, oh yeah, looks good.
Yeah, there's knowledge is key to what we do. And it has become so intricate from a regulatory standpoint that knowing the little loopholes and the, when you cans and when you can'ts is super important.
Well, we all feel that from you too. I mean, I remember going through real estate school, and then when you go do CE classes and they talk about, how you speak about lending to your clients, to your real estate clients. And honestly, my answer is call your lender, call James. Like I don't want to be giving them that advice on the rates or whether they can or can't qualify. We used to do a lot of that. Agents used to do a lot of qualifying. And I'm really glad that we got taken out of that loop because I think that we don't have the knowledge.
Yeah. And really just as an inexperienced lender can do, you stand to over undersell the situation in a negative way. And so, we want to talk to people and give them that educated basis to be the smartest and best equipped buyers in the market that there are. And you're going to make better decisions, in your buying process and long-term planning around real estate if you have that knowledge.
Yeah. So everybody wants to know all the time what's happening with rates, what's going on. Forecasting is always challenging. We don't have crystal balls, but tell us about the current state of the market, what you're seeing and what you're anticipating coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no secret that we've seen a spike up in interest rates. A lot of people ask me when the COVID rates are going to return, and nothing.
Don't hold your breath.
Nothing else was normal during COVID that included interest rates. That was a good thing in that time. We don't expect to see those rates again, but we do expect to see some moderation. We think that the government's reaction from a Fed standpoint, it was a little bit of they waited too long to do anything, and then they did too much too fast. The market's already seeing that. So in a nutshell, rates are high because of fears of inflation. And so as you're seeing the news, anything that's going to calm that fear of inflation is going to calm down interest rates. And so we've seen rates moderate about a point and a half from their highs. Interestingly enough, in the last couple of weeks, we've seen, an unemployment report and an inflation report that showed a little stronger than expected results. And we saw the market react upward of that a little bit. And so I think we're going to continue to see a little bit of an ebb and flow just as the market adjusts. And if you're watching just the broader markets, not even interest rates, you're going to see good day, good week, bad week, just on that sentiment. Right. And while we anticipate the overall trend in rates continuing down in the next 8 to 12 months, I think it's going to be a little bit of a slow haul, and there's going to be a little bit of back and forth as the market just absorbs that. And, the good news is the change in rates have created a different market dynamic. So as a buyer, especially, there's a lot more opportunity out there than, what there was a year ago. And so you've just got to look at the opportunity and the change that we've seen and, figure out how to capitalize.
Right. We talk about that a lot. And every time the market changes, there's an opportunity for somebody, and we have to think about where that opportunity lies and reach out to those people.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like I said, there is a different dynamic in the market than we've seen really probably for 4 or 5 years. And so as buyers are looking at that and taking advantage of it, there's some unique opportunities out there. So a lot of people think that it's a bad time to be in the marketplace. And as a buyer, nothing could be more untrue than that.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you think are some of the best things that buyers can do to prepare to purchase in this market? What do they need to get in line, and how can they be prepared to make strong offers? And
yeah, absolutely. So obviously the best buyer is an educated one. And so we want to start that with them, talking to a real estate professional, calling the Christy Reese Group and saying, all right, I'm ready to buy. What do I need to know? Let us educate you from there. That certainly falls into our arena because you want to know what your ability is. And we really want to talk to you about what's your long-term plan. What are your goals in real estate ownership? Because we want to be here not just for this transaction, but the next one and the next one. And we want to show you how to build long-term wealth in real estate. And so that all starts with knowledge and education. And so spend some time, do some legwork. Let's talk through how that needs to look so that when you do start looking at houses, you're ready to act when the opportunity is right, number one, and you know what you're getting into, number two.
It sounds like you play a little bit of a financial advisor role in a way. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, definitely. For most people, if they want to look at their financial portfolio, there's more value in real estate than any other sector of their balance sheet. And so, we absolutely have to be a part of that dynamic to know what their overall plan is going to do and how we can best serve that.
Well, and we on the real estate side, we end up a lot of times feeling like we're in therapy, right? Because we're dealing with a lot of situations with families, deaths, divorce, new kids, retirement, moving across the country, all kinds of things. And we are concerned with people and their wealth. And you have to be thinking about, how much do you really want to spend on this house, and not advising people on whether they should go to the max and things like that.
Absolutely. And, the transition in real estate, when you're in a real estate transaction, like you just said, it's when things in your life are changing. And even when those are positive changes, and sometimes they're not, but whether the change is good or bad, there's a lot of emotion and anxiety around that. And so how do you, again, I think knowledge is the solver of that, because if you come into that situation with a plan, knowing exactly what your abilities are and your limitations are, then that can kind of ease some of the anxiety of, oh my gosh, what should I do, on top of the stress of whatever life events occurring, and just, again, help you make a smarter long-term decision.
Yeah. It's crazy sometimes that we can meet with somebody that really hasn't done any homework. Sometimes we'll meet with people that say, I haven't sold a house in 30 years, and I don't know what's going on in the market. And same on the buy side, people that really haven't done any homework at all, they just feel ready. So we do try to educate them as well. We want to make sure that we are giving them some market knowledge as well as product knowledge, but we love handing them your way so that you can really educate them on the lending products. So that's great. So James, you're licensed in more than just Colorado. So you can originate loans in a lot of states across the country.
Yeah. And so for most people, we're able to deal with a lot of their family and friends. And certainly if you're going to or from other areas, we've extended license to where our base of people tend to be coming or going from, or retiring to. Everyone says, why do you license in Florida? Well, we have a lot of people that retire in Florida. So we want to be a part of that. That's the culmination of that plan. So for people that know people in other areas, for most states, we can still accommodate your mortgage needs. And that way you're not going to someplace strange and new and trying to get advice from somebody you might not know or trust.
Mm-hmm. And it's nice to have someone that you do know and trust. Do you have any challenges with being an out-of-town lender in another area?
We definitely have to introduce ourselves in a different way. We're fortunate with our footprint in the Grand Valley that most people don't go, gosh, who's Fidelity Mortgage? That's different in other markets, but generally having a conversation with the agent and letting them know, that we're not a box lender or an internet lender, kind of giving them a little bit about our resume and letting them know where we're at. Normally in the course of a 5-minute conversation, people know they're dealing with somebody that knows what they're doing, and we overcome that pretty easily.
Let's talk about box lenders for a second.
Yeah.
Boy, how do you describe them? I mean, they serve a certain purpose, and I'm sure that they do a good job for some clients, but our experience overall has been that they have a hard time staying on a timeline, and they don't know the local market. What do you see as the challenges when you're up against, someone comparing you with a big box lender because they think they're going to get a better rate or see something on TV?
Absolutely. And I tell people that when they're looking, especially on the internet, at things about mortgage, it's kind of like looking at supermarket tabloids. They're interesting and fun to see. There might be a little bit of truth in it, but a lot of times it comes back to some of the things we've already talked about. I had just the other day somebody say, hey, can you match this that this big box lender did? And we said, well, yes, but that's totally the wrong loan for you. And it's kind of like a do-it-yourself mortgage when you go with that platform. And again, that's not always a bad thing, but it generally lacks the base of knowledge to say, why would I do this versus that? And really making sure that fits an overall plan. And mortgage is more of a process than a plan than it is a commodity. So it's not like deciding whether you want brand name or generic at the supermarket. There's really more to it.
Right. And there's not just you or you, and you have one product each, and it's this rate.
Yeah, and there's so much more on the line. The quality of advice matters, because you don't want to go and borrow $400,000 and figure out after the fact that you did it the wrong way.
Yeah, for sure. And what are some of the things that you've seen go wrong with those kind of folks? Because I know we talked a few minutes ago about, sometimes we have deals that we can't get done. We're at the almost at the closing table and the lender drops the ball and then we go, James.
Right. There's a number of things that we see go wrong in that situation. The worst is what you just said. You get down to the end and they said, we told you we could give you this loan, but in fact we can't. That's obviously the last thing anyone wants to hear.
And I think one that we heard, the one that happened to one of my agents recently, I think they said something about, we checked on your student loan or something and decided they couldn't qualify at the last minute. And it was like, well, why didn't we know this ahead of time?
Yeah, we see a lot of things that should be day one or two questions that get missed until the end. And again, that's lack of experience. A lot of those box lenders are call centers. So you're getting somebody who's reading a script. They don't necessarily know the mortgage process. So it's pretty face value to understand where that could fail. The other thing, even if it is timeline, obviously when you agree to buy a house, you're under a deadline to do that. And a lot of lenders just don't apply importance or recognition to that. And so we see a ton of times that those lenders are just unable to perform in time. And, you risk the chance that your seller is going to say no thanks and move on to the next buyer.
Not going to extend.
Yeah. So we see that happen a lot. And then the final thing that we see, which is unfortunate, is just a lot of bait and switch. We take a lot of stock in knowing that if we tell people we're going to do something or deliver something, then that's exactly what we do. When we stake our reputation on that, again, those call center lenders aren't going to be afraid to tell you one thing and do another. And so even if they perform, a lot of times they don't perform in the way that they promised. And it's sometimes too late to do anything about it. And you're left holding the bag with something that really isn't what you thought you were going to get or really wanted.
Yeah, it's really scary when you think about it that way. A call center with one of the most important purchases you might ever make, with somebody that doesn't have near the knowledge about products and service that you do. That's a big risk to take.
Just swing by Vegas on the way to that box lender, put it all on black, see if you can double your money. And then, it's a gamble either way is my point. And
Definitely.
Don't gamble with something that's that important.
Agree. What do you enjoy most about your job? You talked about the people earlier, but it's pretty high stakes and high energy. Do you stress a lot about your job?
Yeah, I would say that it's not a low stress reality. I think, having done it as long as I have, there's less stress and more just kind of a, roll up our sleeves and get through it. We're not as worried about the outcome, because we do have the knowledge and experience to say, okay, we've got to do, these things. I think, more than anything, I have stress for, what the people are going through. If they really want a house and they aren't sure that that's the right thing, or they can't come to terms with the seller, again, just sort of seeing that anxiety. That's hard because you just, and you're the same way.
And you do get emotionally involved with your clients, for sure.
We have a lot of empathy, and
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing, but it's really hard to kind of always be the sound voice of reason when sometimes you want to just go, yeah, you're right. This is hard, because the circumstances sometimes are. But the biggest thing we can do is just take the difficulty out of that wherever it's possible.
And that's got to be really gratifying.
Yeah.
I know. It's when you get somebody into a house.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
It feels so good.
Yeah. Yeah. And their joy is, why we do what we do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what's next for Fidelity Mortgage? Are you expanding? Are you doing some teaching around the country? For the company and for you personally in the industry?
Yeah. So I am in the last probably 7 or 8 years have started to do and continue to do a lot of stuff just around the country with industry peer groups and masterminds. We've enjoyed a lot of success, and that's a big pay it forward for me. And we believe in that in multiple aspects of what we do. So, what's next for Fidelity Mortgage is to continue to honor our base. Grand Junction has always been home, and we've always served the community well. We, of course, want to continue to do that. For myself personally, I, have taken on some other things around the country. I have a full team here that continues, to make sure that the home buyers in Mesa County are taken good care of.
Great team, by the way,
Thank
James.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
they
super.
do an awesome job. And, it's fun for me, and we always learn and bring new things back to the industry. I know you're the same. You're involved in a lot of stuff around the country, and it's great to see that energy and ideas from different people can work in our market. Yeah. So it's fun to do, but it also lets us kind of put more toys in our toy box and, bring different things to the process and just make sure that we're innovating while we're doing our day to day.
Yeah. I love being part of a coaching network, and the masterminding is fantastic. And with all the changes in markets and regulations and, as we said, people and properties, it's important to keep up with stuff.
Yeah, and we definitely, that's a huge part of just making sure we're giving people the best advice that's out there, is knowing the marketplace. And so helping to educate other people, outside of the area and sharing their ideas and process just helps us make sure everybody is as sharp as they can be.
Yeah. Well, can we shift to a little bit more personal subject? I'd like to talk to you about your involvement with Community Hospital and what's going on out there. That's super exciting.
Yeah, it's been a really exciting project. I've been involved with the foundation for a number of years and heavily involved with the new cancer center that's going in out there. We're super proud to, be a partner with them on that, and we're excited to see the doors open there for sure.
And your name's going to be on the building.
Yeah, I was a little unsure about that, but they talked me into doing that, and it's been an amazing outreach from the community with learning everyone's stories and how that organization has helped to influence other people's lives. And we talked about our pay it forward from an education standpoint. The community's been super good to us, and so it's definitely a big way for us to say thank you back.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. What's the estimated completion? Do you know?
I think with weather and COVID, we've had some setbacks, but I want to say that we're looking at the first part of 2024 for them actually starting.
They have a lot going on out there with their early childhood center and the cancer wing. It's really cool to drive out there and see this.
Yeah. If people haven't seen it, and I get that their name is Community as well, but good name because their community involvement is phenomenal. And it's nice to see them embrace the growth in the community. And it's a great organization to be involved with for people too, if they're looking for some place to give time or money. A lot of worthwhile causes there.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you do in your free time, James?
Free time, what's
the
that?
little bit that you have.
Yeah, right. I enjoy traveling, and so
we haven't gotten to ski.
I know, we keep promising
Ever?
to get on the slopes. So especially with the snow right now, let's make it happen this year for sure. So love getting anything in the outdoors, skiing, hiking, and just like spending time with friends. As you know, I love to cook. So, there's never enough free time to spend with the people you care about, but always have fun.
Very true. And you have a lot of family here still in the Grand Valley. Are any of your family members still involved in the business?
They aren't. My mom was in the business for many, many years with me, and she's been retired for, I think, 12 or 13 years now. And so I'm the lonely only Pulsifer surviving in mortgage banking. So I'm carrying that torch.
What else do you want to share with us about mortgage or James?
I think that from a mortgage standpoint, it's just to tell people, don't be afraid. You don't know what you don't know. Ask questions, engage people in good resources, and don't be afraid to take that risk and, understand the opportunities that come with that.
Well, and I think my advice too would be, don't be afraid to, like you said, ask questions. But there's a lot of people, I think, assume they should know stuff they don't know, and they're afraid to ask because they don't want to sound stupid. But you really do need to dig and share everything, right? Like, you've got to be
100%.
honest with your lender and your realtor. We need to know your financial
and don't
situation.
be afraid to ask. We never sit down with somebody, whether it's your first transaction or your fifth, where we expect you to have all the answers. Quite the opposite. That's why we're there. So there's not a question that's going to offend us. I'd rather ask and get it answered, or have you ask and realize that you did know the answer, but let's have the discussion just so that we're 100% sure that that's the case. Because if you haven't spotted a recurring theme, knowledge is power. So, make sure you're armed with that.
Yeah. So if people want to learn more about your company, if they want to apply for a mortgage, if they want to call you or any of your amazing teams. So you have a team that is the Pulsifer team,
Yep.
But you also have independent loan originators at your company.
Yep.
How many now?
There's 11 of us, I believe. So a great team of people. They all do an excellent job. We take a lot of pride in knowing that if you're dealing with Fidelity Mortgage, you're dealing with somebody who knows what they're doing, is going to take good care of you. And that's important to our brand.
Yeah. So how do they get in touch?
You can always give us a call, 970-242-7000. You can find us on the internet, Fidelity MTG. So
pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, someone says, "I couldn't find your phone number." I'm like, "Really?"
Or you can call the Christy Reese Group. Everybody here knows how to find me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
we have a cell phone.
Right. They can track me down, I assure you.
Well, thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to work with you over the years. I just can't speak highly enough of the job that you do, the service that you offer, and the great way that you treat our clients.
Yeah, thank you. We've been proud to be your partner. So many more years.
Yes, let's keep it going.
All right.
So if you have questions about mortgages, really, if you just need information, James and his team would be happy to help you. But if you want to apply for a mortgage or you want to get started on a real estate journey, call either one of us and we'd be happy to help.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time on the Full Circle Podcast. Thanks for listening. This is Christy Reese signing out from the Full Circle Podcast.